Welcome back everybody, I'm Moist Napkin LOL and this week's video is going to be a detailed look at fishing, so take it away Thor.
So to cover the basics of fishing, just to start out, you can cast your reel into the water, and when you do this, you can either do like a short cast, or if you're holding it, you can actually aim where you're trying to cast and throw it really far away from you if you want to do that as well. So once you have a fish on your line, you're going to want to pull the rod in the opposite direction that the fish is swimming. And when you're doing this a couple times, the fish is going to start getting tired, and you'll notice there's going to become some slack in the fishing line, and then you can start reeling them in. So generally, you got to do that at least about a couple times before you can fully reel in the fish. If you try to reel in the line while the fish is fighting you, or you're pulling in the wrong direction, or the fish swims behind like a dock or a rock or something like that, the line's going to snap and you're going to lose your fish. So you can actually slightly reel in the line while you're fishing, but you have to reel it in just a tiny bit, like a couple seconds at a time, and you got to stop reeling and then do it again and just kind of keep repeating that to kind of help reel in the fish a little bit faster. But you'll kind of start figuring out what that feels like, because you'll see your rod kind of start to shake. You can sort of hear the rod making like cracking sounds, and your controller's going to vibrate a little bit differently. But aside from that, there's going to be a total of 50 fish you can catch, as well as some junk, including like you can catch a hat or a skull or some planks or a boot or like a fish skeleton.
There are 10 different types of fish and 5 different colors per type. 3 of these colors are going to be common, so you will be able to find them super easily. And one of the colors, which is the 4th, listed in the menu, is going to be the rare color, and these can take upwards to an hour to find based on how lucky you are and how fast they happen to appear. Now, we recommend having multiple people fishing for this, and once you have caught the other colors, we recommend putting your line back into the water and waiting for that rare fish to show back up. Because any of the colors that show up or a splash tail appears, pull your line out of the water and then throw it back in to get another fish to spawn. This is especially crucial for saving bait, because you may see 50 or more fish before the one that you need appears. And the last color of fish only spawns at night, and it will be very obvious because it glows very bright. And although you may be fishing for a certain nighttime fish for that region, be wary. If you are in the ocean, the nighttime splash tail can and will still spawn. You can always catch the common fish, so do not miss out on the rare ones.
Depending on what area you're in, each fish has a preference for the bait that it likes, as well as a possible circumstance required for them to spawn. So splash tails don't require any bait to catch, but it does kind of seem like if you're using a worm, it may have an effect on the rate at which the trophy splash tails spawn, but this is kind of us just speculating. We don't really know that for sure. So this fish can be found really anywhere in the ocean. They're very, very common, and catching all of these types of this fish will unlock 3 different versions of the bilge rat fishing rod.
Pondies also don't require any bait, but they are only able to be caught in ponds on islands such as Mermaid's Hideaway, for example. You have to be able to see other fish swimming in the pond for it to be a large enough pond for them to spawn, and this is probably the easiest fish to catch because they don't require any bait, and since they're in a small pond, you can reel them in very quickly if not in the first reel. Catching each type of this fish unlocks the parrot fishing rod, which looks really cool, and if you like this rod, or if you're tired of the boring plain rod, then we highly recommend going after the pondies first, because you can catch them very quickly compared to the other fish, and you will be able to unlock a super nice rod very quickly.
Ancient scales require leeches to be caught, and you're also going to have to be in the ancient isles for them to actually spawn in. So when you catch all these fish of this type, you're going to unlock 3 different versions of the sovereign fishing rod.
Plentifins require earthworms to catch, and you must also be fishing in the shores of plenty. Catching all these types of fish unlocks the 3 versions of the Admiral fishing rod.
Wild splash are also going to require earthworms to catch, and you have to be fishing in the wilds to catch them. So catching all types of this fish will unlock 3 versions of the Sea Dogs fishing rod.
Devilfish require grubs to catch, and you must be fishing in the Devil's Roar. Catching all the types of this fish will unlock the Forsaken Ashes fishing rod.
Isle hoppers can be found anywhere in the ocean as long as you're off the coast of an island. So the sea posts don't count, but outposts do count. So these fish, they require no bait to catch, which is kind of cool. To get these to spawn, you do need to be close enough to the island where the nameplate pops up, but you kind of need to be far enough away where you're your boat's not just like sitting over the sandbar. So getting the distance on this can kind of be tricky because sometimes they spawn closer, sometimes they spawn further. But one of the easiest ways to do this, and what we kind of recommend, is just fishing from a rowboat because you don't have to move your ship as much. You can kind of get it positioned, right where you want it. Catching all the types of this fish is going to unlock the hunter's fishing rod.
Battle gills require grubs to catch, and you have to be in battle. For these to spawn, you have to be within range of an active fort. You can be parked at the fort as well, but essentially close enough that the fort music is playing. Now, you can catch these if you are fighting a skeleton pirate ship. These may also spawn while fighting with the Megalodon or the Kraken. We have not yet tested this out, but we would assume that they would spawn during these encounters as well. And catching all the types of this fish will unlock the Bone Crusher fishing rod.
One of the coolest fish in this game that you can catch is going to be the stormfish. It requires leeches to catch, and you have to be actually in the storm for them to spawn. Each of the 3 common colors of the stormfish must be caught within the storm while the storm is in that fish's particular area. So, for example, to catch an ancient stormfish, you have to use leeches inside the storm while the storm's actually within the Ancient Isles region of the map. So the rare version of the stormfish can be caught in any of the regions. It doesn't have to be in any one of them particularly. But from what we've experienced, you can't just be on the outside edge of the storm. You have to be deep enough into the storm where the wheel of the boat is going to be turning on its own and the compass is going to be spinning. Catching all types of this fish is going to unlock the Kraken fishing rod.
Probably the most unique fish on this list are the wreckers. They require earthworms to catch and must be caught at sunken ships. We assume only the sunken ships that are out in the ocean that spawn in randomly will spawn wreckers, and not the sunken ships that are at particular islands, which are essentially part of the island's aesthetics, like the Uncharted Islands. But catching all of these types of fish will unlock the Ocean Crawler fishing rod.
All these fish are going to be turned into the hunter's call. Now, the nighttime fish does give more rep and more gold than the regular types of the common versions of those same fish, but the rare color of those types of fish are going to give significantly more rep and significantly more gold, and it actually gives an achievement as well. But if you are having a hard time finding some of these rare colored fish, or you don't want to go to a fort, or you really don't want to fish during a storm, these fish can also be found already cooked in the barrels of sunken ships.
There are multiple different cosmetics you get through fishing. These are known as the killer whale cosmetics, and among some of these cosmetics that you can get is a fishing rod, a lantern, and a tankard, but there are many more just waiting to be unlocked. You'll have to get out there and get fishing to level up your hunter's call to discover them all.
Well, that's going to be it for us this week. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button or drop us a like if you enjoyed the video or if it was helpful for you guys or if you learned something through fishing. We hope you enjoyed our detailed overview on fishing, and we'll catch you next week when we cover cooking.